lot to do with that.
I absolutely believe we're still the shining city on the hill. I think the one issue, if you really have to boil it down to the overriding problem, I would say it's the moral decline of our country, the lack of personal responsibility, accountability, and just doing what's right for yourself and your neighbor and your country. And that is why I'm so heartened that we are seeing a reversal from what we saw in 2008, where we see people coming back around and understanding that this country was built on a solid foundation, and that moral foundation is critical to where we are today. And all else flows from that.
We are a shining country. We have been for a long time. You know, when I decided to run, I had a hard choice to make. Stay here and enjoy my family and do business as usual, which includes running your family, running your business, and playing in politics from the periphery, or to get involved. Heard a lot of good points on what's the downfall of our country right now, and I agree. Being a serial apologetic person from our president is not the right message. Our fiscal indebtedness needs to be come in check. But there's one thing that's sneaking behind the scenes that a lot of people aren't aware of, and that's the green movement. The green movement is stripping us little by little, like a cancer that's been planted, of our private property rights. And the green movement has been very carefully planted. Now don't get me wrong, I'm a farmer, I'm one of the best environmentalists there is out there. I wouldn't have 101-year-old grapevines had it not been for good environmental practices. But this is something we need to be in caution of.
Okay, now moving on to question number 6. And before we get to question number 6, I'm actually going to read some statistics. If you look at your agenda that each of you guys should have gotten when you came in, right underneath, actually right above where it says closing words, and beneath where it says Republican headquarters, there is a website. It's called www.usdebtclock.org. And on that statistics from that website talks about our national debt clock. The national debt right now is over $12 trillion, with each man, woman, and child's share equal to approximately $58,000 per person. So you get an idea of $1 trillion. Congress, because Congress is the one that actually has the purse strings, if Congress saved $1 million a day, it will take 2,740 years to pay off $1 trillion. And to pay off the national debt of $12 trillion, if we save $1 million a day in Congress, it will take 32,880 years to pay off the $12 trillion without interest. Now, the government Social Security liability is at $14 trillion. Medicare liabilities at $73 trillion, and going up with government takeover of health care. With all this government spending, all unfunded liability is at $106 trillion, making each American citizen owing $343,000 of their share to this debt. So to question number 6, to Jeff Takata. While those in Congress give themselves special perks and are not required to pay or use Social Security or government health care that is being forced on the American people, would you be willing to sponsor or support a bill requiring all politicians to be placed on the same Social Security and health care programs as required by the American people?
Well, yeah, that's a very good question. I suppose if it was a foregone conclusion that the American people had to have this stuff foisted off on them, forced to, live under this new enormous healthcare program, then I suppose, sure, why not? The politicians that pass some stupid legislation like that should also live under it. If I'm elected to Congress, one thing you can be sure of is that I will never support a bill that would expand the health care as it currently exists, expand Social Security. What needs to happen? We mentioned that $106 trillion. That needs to be shrunk catastrophically. We almost need I hesitate to use the word a revolution, but we need to have a political revolution where the representatives in Congress understand that only through a limited government, a government that's limited specifically by what's in the Constitution, can we ever hope to regain the financial solvency that we once had that made us the pride of the world.
The question is, will I sponsor or support a bill requiring all politicians to be placed on the same Social Security and health care programs as required of the American people? The answer is yes.
I can have a shorter answer than that. Yes.
This really is it. Thanks for the softball, Frank. This is our midway break, right? Absolutely. Absolutely, yes. And you know, I'm sure, that during the healthcare reform bill that they actually tried to put a provision like that in, and it was soundly rejected. So, yeah, we already know the answer by the Democrats. It was the Republicans, of course, who tried to put it in.
Yeah, it's an easy question. I like that one. Absolutely. We have to go by the same rules that the rest of the public does. And, you know, that's the way I run my business. That's the way I run my household. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. So, you know, you need to lead by example. And that's a problem with Washington these days, is those guys aren't leading by example. My pledge to you is to do that. Whatever is good for the district is definitely good enough for me.
Well, to answer the question, of course, I would most certainly sign that. I would even go a step further and make sure that they don't get any more pay raises or cost of living increases, as they like to call it. They should be working for us, not creating a raise for them in their new job.
Okay, thank you. Actually, the answer's so quick I almost didn't get a chance to get my water over there. So, okay, that completes the first round. So now we go into the second round. The second round questions are questions from the candidates. Each candidate has given me one question, and